We are happy to be hosting Neenah today for their fabulous new piece called Rethink Everything, the Classic Papers. And from Neenah today, we have the creative director, Dallas Franklin.
Hi, everyone.
We have Michelle Pistoni from the marketing department at Neenah. And then we have our buddy who a lot of you might know, Eric Hinkle, who is our senior account manager for Millcraft Paper.
Hey, gang.
So thank you guys for showing us this wonderful piece today. It's a great piece. We're going to let Dallas talk about the making of the piece and show us the piece from start to finish. And then we're going to have a giveaway after a while too. So stay tuned for that. So Dallas, I'm going to let you take over.
Great. I'm just going to share my screen here. Can everyone see? Terry, can you see the presentation?
Yes. Yeah, okay, we're good.
Okay. So welcome, everyone. I'm Dallas Franklin, Creative Director with Neenah, and today I'm so excited to present Rethink Everything, our latest classic promotion. But before I do that, I would like to share a personal story. So a few weeks ago, I broke the ring finger on my right hand. And as you can imagine, this transformed everything in my daily life. You know, initially I was really frustrated. I wanted to go back to the before times when I had access to two hands. But the situation really called for radical creativity. You know, I had to rethink everything I was doing, how I was holding my computer mouse, how I was taking a shower, getting dressed. And an interesting thing happened, you know, when I was researching accessibility tools in the computer to try to figure out like how to speed my workflow, it just made me realize like how many people have to deal with these sorts of disabilities every day. And it made me appreciate having two hands, and it kind of dialed up my empathy and helped me to focus on what is truly important. And to realize that maybe I'm a little bit stronger and more resilient than I initially thought. So I don't know if that sounds familiar to any of you, because I know that you all are having to rethink everything too, because your businesses are changing, your clients are changing, and you're trying to figure out how to adapt and pivot in this fast changing world. So to that end, we at Neenah have decided to share 5 stories of innovators who are thinking differently about their craft, their businesses, and their communities. And these are non-traditional graphic designers. They're also fine artists and interior designers, fashion designers, packaging engineers, and printers. So they're really shattering the stereotypes of what a designer is. And the common thread that weaves all of their stories together is that they're all using paper as a material of choice, because we as designers know that, you know, paper is where we all start. It's with drawing and sketching when we're young. It's a material that expresses creativity. It's humble, it's simple, it's light, it's inexpensive, it's tangible, it's tactile. And especially when we can't meet face to face, paper can play that role of brand presence in our mailbox. Oh, and by the way, it's sustainable too. Everyone knows that plastic is out and paper is in. So just as paper is our material of choice, the classics are our brand of choice for this piece. And many of you know Neenah. This is our flagship brand. It's our most popular brand, and it consists of Classic Crust, which has smooth and eggshell and super smooth, Classic Linen, and Classic Textures, which includes laid and stipple and columns, and my 2 favorite textures, tech weave on the left and wood grain on the right. Okay, so you'll notice once you receive the promotion, and you can see images of it here, that this is not a traditional brochure. It's more like a sculptural magazine or a collectible piece of art that you would keep on your desk. And what's so wonderful is when you slide that promotion out from the perforated sleeve, it creates that wonderful element of surprise. The other cool thing is we have all of these really interactive short sheets at the front that spell out the word rethink, actually both on the front and the back. And we've kind of brightened our palette. We've introduced some pinks and some purples and some golds. So it looks a little bit different than what you might think when you just open up classics and you see our waterfalls. So here's a visual storyboard of kind of how the piece works, how it slides out, and how the different short sheets at the beginning kind of turn for this really interactive experience. So a few paper call outs here for you. We're using a variety of classic papers here. You'll see classic stipple epic black for our sleeve. You'll see a variety of textures for the short sheets like tech weave and stipple and linen. And then our cover is on our cool gray smooth, which you can see here, which we've added a pearl white and a gloss white foil. And this leads me to our manifesto, which summarizes everything that you'll see inside. And that is that the world today isn't the same as yesterday. And a landscape that evolves by the minute calls for beautiful, sustainable materials that can keep up with the pace of change. Neenah classic papers are the medium of choice for the innovators, artists, designers, and printers who are shaping the future of creativity. Join us as we celebrate those who are designing for tomorrow and rethinking everything along the way. Okay, so let's dive into the stories inside. So our first story is about Mio Gallery and their larger than life paper blooms. So Mio Gallery is an interesting company. They're a husband and wife team. They're based out of the Ukraine, and they specialize in these handcrafted paper art displays for like theater sets and museums. They do work for really big name brands like Gucci and the St. Regis, Veuve Clicquot. And just like Neenah, they believe that perfection is in the details and that the details really do make a difference. You know, Mira says, "I'm inspired by nature. When I buy a real flower, I study every detail." And in these images, you can really see just how lifelike these paper flowers look. And that big red flower in the top left, that's a red dahlia, and that's made completely out of classic crust red pepper. So how is Mio Gallery rethinking everything? Well, when the world went digital, they chose analog, and they created this really interesting business out of handcrafting paper art that looks true to life. I mean, we all know that fresh flowers don't last, but like larger than life paper displays do. So they're creating this really sustainable solution. It's practical, it's awe-inspiring, and they're teaching their clients how to rethink interior design needs. So, you know, maybe that retail client or that hotel client doesn't need to change out that fresh flower display every week. You know, there are other options out there that can maximize budgets without compromising on beauty and quality. So I mentioned the classic crust red pepper for the dahlia, and then the white orchids that you see on the right here, those are made out of Avon Brilliant White, classic natural white, and earthstone. So that's Mio Gallery. Once you get the promotion, you can read more about them. And I've also included their website here if you want to check them out online or follow them on Instagram. Okay, our next story is about Zero Waste Daniel and his zero waste fashion. So we at Neenah learned about Daniel back in December of 2019 when the New York Times ran an article about him called "The Future is Trashin'." And actually a couple of our New York-based reps actually attended one of his fashion shows. So Daniel was just really frustrated with the amount of textile waste in the fashion industry and just this general lack of environmental design education that was available to students. So he decided to create the first fashion company to make 100% zero waste clothing. So he's all about ending waste culture and redefining sustainable design. So he's a clothing designer, and he calls himself a zero waste lifestyle pioneer. He's based out of Brooklyn, and he creates this one-of-a-kind unisex apparel made from textile waste. He also hires and mentors young designers, and he advocates for fair wages, transparency, and accountability in the fashion industry. You know, he says, "I reimagine textile waste as valuable goods to make a wearable, affordable unisex line that is completely zero waste." So we were fans of Daniel, and we reached out to him and we said, you know, "Hey, Daniel, would you be open to creating a unique piece of art with scraps of paper, leftover scraps of paper?" And he was really excited about the idea. So I had a box of classic scraps that we were going to use for a trade show that ended up being canceled. So I just shipped him this big box of like random classic sheets, and he put together this amazing piece of art. He calls this his Galaxy art piece. It's inspired by Michelangelo's Sistine ceiling, and he created this with his sewing machine. He pieced all of this together using his sewing machine. So really, really inspiring work. So he's using a variety of of classic textures, tech weave and columns and linen and crest. And then the other cool detail, which you'll notice in the promotion, is that we've bound in a sheet of classic linen Haviland blue, which you can see on the left side of the screen here. And I just love that we're incorporating a paper that's inspired by a textile into a story about fashion. So always thinking about, how to weave all of those little details together into the story. So that's Zero Waste Daniel. You can go and learn more about him at his website. And I also recommend following him on Instagram as well. So there's where you can go and do that. Okay, so our next story is about two partners, the Studio on Fire and Design Army. And we're calling these our visionary partners. So Design Army is a longtime partner of Neenah. They've done work on our swatch books and our promos for over a decade. They're a husband and wife team. They're out of DC. They're kind of famous for their colorful art direction and editorial fashion shoots. You can see their work at the top of the screen for the Washington, DC Ballet and the Hong Kong Ballet. So they do work for really big clients like Adobe and the Ritz-Carlton. And, in 2020, they found inspiration by returning to their startup roots. Poom says, we're back at our kitchen table again. We're back to where we started. So that's Design Army. And then Studio on Fire, many of you might know, they're actually out of St. Paul, Minnesota. They're a letterpress shop. And Ben Levitt's the owner. He's a graphic designer, and he fell in love with letterpress, which we all know is very easy to do. So he bought a press, the press you see at the top of the screen. He bought that press and he put it down in his basement, and he started just doing small projects for friends like wedding invitations and business cards. And he ended up quitting his agency job to start his own company. And what's interesting about Ben is that he really saw the potential in packaging early. So he started to position himself as that structural engineer, partner, and consultant to designers who are working on their packaging projects. So from those humble beginnings, Ben has been able to scale his business up to be a full service print solutions provider. They're known for impeccable quality and craftsmanship, really pushing the boundaries of what paper can do. And what's cool about them is they're combining this traditional letterpress craft with this cutting edge CAD technology to reshape the future of packaging. So weaving together the old and the new. So we at Neenah asked these two to pair up and to put their respective specialties to the test using classic papers. They worked completely virtually via Zoom. You can see the screenshot of their Zoom meeting at the top right. And they worked together to create this beautiful chocolate bar package with custom type and geometric details. So Design Army did the design, and Studio on Fire actually created the structure of the box itself. So it's this really beautiful execution. It's just gold foil and a sculptured emboss on our epic black smooth. And you can really see how that sculptured emboss is really three-dimensional there. You can see the embossing plate at the bottom left as well for you print nerds out there. So Ben says, as a designer, the two things I always strive to hold in balance are raw and refined. And Poom says, I'm thinking like a startup again. It's really important to me to always challenge myself and my team to push and surprise ourselves. So here you can see a few more images of the collaboration, the guys bringing it to life on press at Studio on Fire. And again, that early collaboration on Zoom on the design. So a few other paper call outs. I mentioned the classic linen Haviland blue in the previous story. So we've included it here. It serves as the background of the chocolate box, and we've also sampled it and brought it into the typography in the intro spread. You can see it a little bit here, that light blue and the type there. So again, always wanting to do these tiny little details just to weave everything together. Okay, so that's Studio on Fire and Design Army. So I'll pause for just a moment. You guys can go out and follow them on Instagram and check out their work online. They're both really amazing. Okay, so our next story, my personal favorite story, is of Lucy Grimes, who is supporting her local community through design with purpose. And pay attention here because we'll have a giveaway at the end for you guys for one of these pieces. Okay, so Lucy is a solo entrepreneur in Washington, DC. We first noticed her at a trade show, actually in New York now. She had a little booth there. And we just loved her products and came to discover that she was using a lot of Neenah in her products. So the story goes that Lucy was hosting all of these dinner parties for her friends, and she didn't have any vases, so she was putting flowers in like wine glasses and soup containers, and she thought like there must be a better way. So she decided to create paper coverings for everyday containers. You know, she had gone to RISD, she was a textile designer, and she just started to explore materials. She really fell in love with paper, paper. She loves our pearlized papers. But the cool thing about her, she's employing and empowering women in her local community. So as her company started to grow, she knew she would need help to continue making all of these products by hand. So she ended up partnering with a local organization called In Street Village in DC, and they employ a group of women currently experiencing homelessness. So together, you know, Lucy's helping to create a path forward for them. They're working to improve each other's lives and to fulfill Lucy's vision of empowering others through design. You know, she says, I want to uplift people around me. That's part of design. That's why people create art. I think the process of creating should be joyful. So here you can see some early sketches. These are the vase coverings that we'll be giving away at the end of the call. So you can see a little bit of the ladies at In Street that are helping to create the products. And we'll share also a short video for how you fold these as well. So there's a lot of classic linen in this story. We've got that linen Haviland blue, again, with that beautiful gold foil typography. You can really see the reflective qualities of the type here in that intro spread. And then the vase wraps themselves use classic linen natural white pearl. So they're really, really lovely with that pearl finish and that nice gold foil detail on the score lines. So that's Lucy. I recommend going out to her website. She also has placemats and some other decorative items, and they're very affordable and beautiful, great for Christmas. So check out what she has, and then also follow her on Instagram. She's always posting beautiful things on her feed. So that's Lucy. And then last but not least is Hazel Sebastian Glass and her paper strata. So Hazel is a fine artist based out of Portland, Oregon. She's exhibited all over the world, and she creates this just exquisite paper strata art by layering precision cut paper together to create these like three-dimensional worlds and color palettes and designs. You know, she really found her voice through paper, and she lets the unique qualities of the paper inspire her to start cutting. What I love is like her work is really quiet and discreet and intricate, and it makes you want to look closer. So how is Hazel rethinking everything? Well, one thing she's doing is she's trying to change the general misconception of whether cut paper art is fine art. A lot of people do not believe that cut paper art is fine art, but I would say that she's changing people's minds and proving them wrong because she's exhibiting all over the world. And she's just showing the artistry and the beauty and the simplicity of the material. You know, it's just her and her X-Acto blade and the paper. That's it. The other cool thing about Hazel is she's working to break down access barriers to fine art. So she has this affordable art campaign, that link at the bottom. We can share that in the chat. So she has this online store where you can buy reproductions of her work for like $10 or $20. It's unbelievable. So I highly recommend going on there. She has some really beautiful stuff. So she's trying to make art more accessible and affordable to everyone. She says, you know, what good is being an artist if you're not exploring new territory? So this is the piece that she created for us using classic crest papers. You can see it, it's just amazing, just the intricacy, and like, it just reminds me of like a production class in art school. She calls this piece her Seed of Night, and it consists of 27 layers of hand cut paper. So she's using a variety of crest colors, lots of grays, neutrals, and then she's got that cobalt and that Patriot blue in there. That cobalt is really the star. So that's Hazel. We decided to die cut the sheet of cool gray smooth that's bound into the story. So there's this wonderful interaction of the different signatures. So you can see it here, how that cool gray sheet kind of overlays the photography of her work. You can see it a little bit better here. So again, we always want to compliment the artist's work when we're talking about them in our pieces. So I think you'll love that little detail. So that's Hazel. Here's her website and her Instagram channel if you guys want to go out and follow her. And again, there's that affordable art campaign site if you want to go and see if she has any beautiful pieces that you can buy for a friend or buy for yourself. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap. I know that was a lot to see and to take in visually. So we saw Neo Gallery, and they're larger than life paper flowers. They do work for really big name brands. We saw Zero Waste Daniel and his sustainable fashion. You know, he's an entrepreneur and also a mentor to designers. We saw that wonderful partnership between Studio on Fire and Design Army. You know, they're two startups that really made it big, and they're collaborating together between traditional craft and modern packaging. There's Lucy, who's supporting her local community through Design with Purpose, and then Hazel, who found her voice through paper and is working to make art accessible and affordable. So if you guys want to go out and just watch some really short videos of these artists at work, you can go to neenahpaper.com/rethink, and you can see Zero Waste Daniel sewing the piece on his sewing machine. You can see the guys at Studio on Fire on press with that chocolate bar package. You can see the how to fold a vase wrap. So you lucky winners of the vase wraps at the end of the call, you'll definitely want to go and see how to fold. It was even difficult for me as a paper nerd to fold it because there are so many little intricate little, you know, scores that you have to get just right. And then there's a really cool time-lapse video of Hazel showing how she like piles up her different papers in this wonderful time-lapse video. So I highly recommend those. And then, you know, to kind of close this piece of the presentation, I just want to leave you with a parting thought from Poom, who's our designer of the promotion. And that is that now is the time for designers to distinguish themselves, not just in what they create, but what they create with. Everything about this piece is designed to push people to think further about how to surprise and delight with the most sustainable material on earth, paper. And then before we open it up for questions, I just want to remind you all about this really cool free tool that you'll probably want to download and start using. We love it. We use it every day at Neenah and in-house at Neenah, and it's just going to change how you work on your design projects. So it's an Adobe plugin for Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. It's called Neenah Swatch Pro. And what it does is it allows you to place the paper layer directly on your artboard with just one click. So it's going to save you time. It's just really going to be a game changer for you because it allows you to think about paper from the beginning of your design projects. And the other cool thing is that it captures the paper spec in your art file. So when you place that layer on your artboard, that layer is automatically created for you. So you can see, like in this case, Royal Sundance Fiber Rose, that's already captured there when you drop it to the printer. So it's hundreds of our Neenah swatches from our most popular brands. So through this tool, you can access the classics, you can access the naturals, which is Environment and Royal Sundance. And then we just recently added a new packaging collection. So if you guys are working on packaging projects, boxes, you have all of our folding board papers there. And then if you're doing beer label or wine label, we've got our Estate and Bella label papers as well. Okay, so it's for Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. And then this is how you go and get it. I'll just walk you through the quick steps so it'll be super easy. So you just go to neenahpaper.com/swatchpro. And this is the page that'll come up on our website. And there's a button in the middle that says download on the Adobe Exchange. So you'll click that button. And by the way, there's an Illustrator tutorial there if you need it. So you click that button, it'll pop you over to Adobe. You can just click that free button in the top right and the extension will download automatically for you. You don't have to do anything. And then all you have to do is just restart your Illustrator, your InDesign, and Photoshop, and then you just go to Window, Extensions, Neenah Swatch Pro, and the panel will come right up. So I highly recommend it. Again, we use it every day. I think you guys will love it. So that's Neenah Swatch Pro. And now I'll stop talking and we can open it up for questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dallas. It's an incredible piece. So hopefully everybody will get to see it. Do we have any questions? I mean, feel free to unmute and ask away. If not, then I can go into the drawing. Surely somebody has a question.
Any favorite stories of the artists, or
That's a good one.
Don't be shy. You can come off mute, you guys.
So, well, people are hopefully thinking, I do have a question for the Neenah team. So as I'm looking at this piece and I see our audience of designers, creatives, and print reps, I immediately see all the things I love about it, right? Like that cover just smacks of like, touch me, between the color and those engaging die cuts. And so when I think about where business is going as we, weather this whole pandemic through the rest of this year and into 2021. I think about the brands and the types of businesses that are our clients that have really felt the impact, a huge brunt of it. Retail brands specifically, obviously restaurants, but any of those B2C brands and even those businesses that have been able to pivot to be more e-commerce driven, the thing that I go back to is, great, we've all ordered on Amazon during this, and the big brown printed box shows up and okay, it's branded and I appreciate that. I know what's inside, but I feel like there's a real opportunity to connect in a way that deepens the experience for the consumer with that brand. And I'm curious, in the audience, creatives, designers, and printers, do you see being able to use this piece to be able to have those conversations with your clients in a way that they might respond and start having a dialogue around, what elements can we do with paper? What am I missing? Hopefully the answer is yes, but I'm just curious. There's no right or wrong. I'm just curious to see how people position using these kinds of pieces. If anybody wants to drop it in the chat or come off mute, I'm interested.
I'm not a designer. I'm a designer. I'm an artist, but I'm not a tech person. And I have created these pieces of the Chart Labyrinth from wood. And I want to know if there's a paper that will give me these same properties that the wood would in the Neenah papers. I might be in the wrong group. I don't know.
No, so Sheila, what are the properties specifically that you like? Just the way that
well, this has this tensegrity to it, and it goes into a base. It's teaching pre and perinatal psychology, embryonic performance. It goes into an acrylic base. These are the templates that we all go through in creating ourselves, and this is the spiral path of the labyrinth that is unique to everybody's journey. These are in common, this isn't journey. So I can use these, but I'm looking for a paper that might be able to be used in making these kinds of marks. This is a big piece of newsprint. And I've taken these patterns and put them in between the papers and then relief on them. So I get the sketch, and then it's a way of people writing their spiritual autobiographies based on embryonic performance. So I don't necessarily want them to have to purchase wood if they can purchase paper.
Eric, I'm just wondering if maybe you could work with Sheila to maybe send her a few samples of options. Yeah, she can maybe test them out.
So when you think about that, Sheila, the heavier weight paper that you have is obviously going to be more structurally savvy. So as long as you can do the kiss cut or the die cut and stuff like that, the heavier weight. Think about it. We have 16 different basis weights, right?
Yeah.
So you got any choice known to man from us. So. Yeah.
And they would, without being plastic, they would have the tensegrity and the strength not to fracture or brittle.
Well, yeah, I would just say depending on how they're being handled. So the heavier the weight, the better option you have. So when you think about it, we have all the way up to 24 point. So
we could get a little meta here. And my cohort, Mark Wojciechowski's texting me. He's like, classic wood grain, Jill, classic wood grain. So really and truly, if you're not familiar with the paper, that's definitely maybe a sample, Eric, you could shoot over, because it will have the properties, the tactile properties of the wood. And I think it can get a little meta in a way that would be easily reproducible and say if they wanted to do it at scale, certainly through a die cut, you know, on the commercial print side
Yeah.
of things. Well,
So Jill, let's just say this, between you and I and Sheila, we'll take that offline. Any other questions?
Well, everybody's just waiting for the giveaway, I think.
Yeah.
So as we were, I turned off my camera so I could put everybody's name in my jade green bowl. So you're seeing the live picking of the cards. So the first winner, we've got 4 of these vases, is Sarah McKee. So yep, she's still on here. Congratulations, Sarah. And let's mix them up. Susan Sprague. Yay, Susie.
Woohoo!
And then Greg Scott. I think he's from Michigan, Detroit area. Congratulations, Greg. And then we'll mix up this last one. Aaron Carver. Congratulations, Aaron. So I will get those out to everyone. I might have to reach out to you for an address if I don't have it, but we will get those out to the winners. Congratulations. I sort of wish I had picked my own name. So if anybody has any questions, Neenah team can stay on here for a few minutes. So feel free to shout them out.
For you winners, again, you'll want to go to neenahpaper.com/rethink for the how to fold video. It's just a reminder.
That's true. Great. You know, I'll send that out with the pieces too. That note. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, everyone. I think I put it in the chat. So if you're not monitoring chat, so if you need any of these pieces, reach out to Jill, Terry, or myself.
And if you don't know how to get a hold of us, you're crazy. So we're everywhere. So
Agreed.
I'm at Terry Price Deep on just about any social media channel that you have. So if you can't find us, you know, you can find us through Millcraft, of course.
yes, and we will be sending you guys the recording of this along with maybe a link if you're a little shy and don't want to ask in the group or drop in the comments, where you can easily click to request maybe a one-on-one or a small group presentation, whether with your team or clients. And Eric, Terry, and myself are happy to kind of coordinate those with you. So thanks so much, you guys. It's always fun to see your face smiling back at us. I love reading all the chat. It seems like we've got a lot of fans of the piece and of the medium, which is awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks, Neenah.
Thank you,
Bye.
Dallas.
Mhm.
Great job, Dallas.
Thank you.
Well, it looked like we had about 62 on the call last time I looked.
Cool. Okay, hang on, I'm trying to. Okay, it's just the 3 of us.